Good evening, everyone, and welcome back once again to IG8Live Esports as we join with SLIPSTREAM Racing League yet for another new track added onto the game here, and it's gonna be for EMILIA. So let's get ready to see what's gonna happen with the qualifying session. As the last time that we had Portimao, it's gonna be a short qualifying session, and then we're gonna run a 100% race around the track here. So that's gonna be 63 laps in total. So it's going to be an interesting one. So 18 minutes of qualifying to get over with, and they're going to be getting a bit of a rush on it as well, as we already got a few cars exiting the pit lane, getting out on their out laps, and should be getting some laps in pretty soon. Already see Cody's retired from the session. Not sure if it's because of a penalty from the previous race session or not. We'll figure that out as we go on further on into the session. So it's round 13 for the current championship that they have going on, and this is of course for the EMILIA ROMAGNA Grand Prix. Should be a fun one to watch. Hasn't been that much of a difficult track in terms of drivers getting a hold of it, but let's see how well these guys adapted to the track as it is there right now. First few laps might be a bit tricky in terms of now getting on the track here in this session itself with it, whatever the temperature is at the moment. Hopefully it's a dry session all the way through for them, because I'm not sure what setups they have come up with so far in terms of a dry race or a wet race, and I'm not sure anyone's really done much practice in terms of this track being wet. So I think they're probably looking forward most likely to a wet race in this instance here, but we'll see what's going to happen as we got Chirpy getting started on his first hot lap here on the track. I think he's possibly the first one to get started as well. Looks like Liam just got started behind of him, so let's see what sort of lap times they will be running here on the track. Has been a range of lap times so far. And we got some confirmation from Beefy there. There is going to be some rain at the end of the race, so that's going to make it a bit interesting as well in terms of drivers changing over to the intermediates and possibly finishing the race on that. We'll see how much close to the end that rain is going to come, and if they're actually going to have to change to the intermediates or not. But I think they might actually end up in that situation. But I think it's going to prove for an interesting session here with us as well, and let's see how well the guys adapt to it in terms of the setups on the car, because they will have to just make sure that that can work whatever they have for a wet track as well. I think it's going to be a bit tricky. That haven't tried this track in the wet, only in the dry, but I'm not sure what it's going to be like in terms of grip level and in terms of some of these curbs as well, so they will have to possibly be extremely careful as they get around to that there. Either way, we got Chirpy about to finish off this lap here pretty soon, and he should be coming around the start finish straight, getting across the line right now. Let's see what his lap time is going to look like. It's a 1:18.4 for him. Based on what I've seen so far, I think we might see some faster laps than that. Let's see what's going to happen as I think Liam gets across the line. Where he is, I think he might have invalidated his lap. Masbin gets a 1:17.2. So not too bad on him so far. Liam did invalidate his lap there. I think he's trying for another one at the moment. Let's see if he's going to get an improved lap or not. See what's this currently. I got Nick in the McLaren getting through, I think getting to sector 3 right about now. And also guys, if you would notice on the track map that we do have down there, there is a difference in terms of the usual races that we do have. This race goes anti-clockwise around the track as to our usual races that go clockwise around. So does make it a bit interesting on that end, especially on the drivers end. You do see a difference in that as well in terms of remembering where your turns are. I would say that the track you actually got to hold for the racing line, but if you are driving without a racing line here at EMILIA, so they're gonna have to be a bit careful for those driving without that line as well. Just make sure they have had enough practice on the track. But yep, if there's a bit of rain down at the end of the session, I think that's going to make it quite interesting. As you can see, Nick going just a tad bit wide there, but still somehow did not invalidate that lap. Kept it on track. I think those tires just stayed on just enough for him to actually keep that lap going. He's getting through into sector 2 now, and he's using up as much of the track as he can here as he gets on through, and still trying for another lap here I think, but his one time was a 1:20.7 so far. Let's see what's going to happen with the rest of the drivers getting on through. I think Liam trying for another lap. Let's have a quick look at that at the moment in the Haas. Yep, he is trying for another lap right now. I think Tyler on a lap there as well. So Alien, OTL Alien so far holds on to the fastest lap time here, 1:14.8. I think the fastest time we've seen in time trial was like a 1:13 from some drivers. I'm not sure if we're going to be seeing that here in this qualifying session. Let's see what's going to happen. But the 1:14.8, pretty impressive so far. Sam there, 1:17.0. Malspin, 1:17.2. Chirpy still with a 1:18.4. And we got Bob going 1:19.6. Nick down to 6 right now on 20.7. Of course, those times will be improved as the session goes on through. Of course, it's only a short qualifying session, so they're going to have to just make sure they are a bit quick in terms of getting a fast lap in, and yeah, hopefully get a good starting position for the race itself. We got Liam getting a purple sector 2 so far. He's getting through sector 3 right about now. I believe his sector 1 time was not in the purple, but let's see how he goes, using up as much as the curb as he can as well. They do have to be careful doing that just to make sure they don't invalidate the lap, and they have to keep that line going all the way through the track. Goes second fastest at 1:14.896, 200th of a second of the time that Alien currently has, so pretty impressive on that so far. We got Clarky here on a lap as well, and in the Red Bull, of course, we have the white livery of the Red Bull on the game added on now, so interesting enough to see that running. Yeah, actually even forget about that. Looks quite well, not too bad from the regular livery that they do have on. Not sure how much luck it's gonna bring on the track here. We'll see how that works out, because so far not too good for Clark. Yes, he's invalidated the lap there. I'm gonna have to try that again. Who else do we have on a hot lap right about now? I think we're waiting for a few drivers to get started on that, and we'll see where they go at the end of this. We still have a few drivers who are currently in the pits. They have not exited as yet, or even attempted just to try to make a lap in. We'll see what's going to happen though as we get further on in this session here. Tires, we'll have a look at that at the end of qualifying itself when we do get the results on. Formation lap, of course, will be on, so we'll have a look at the full starting grid back on the formation lap there as well. See what's happening here on track. Clarky getting another lap in right about now. Let's see if this one is going to go better in that Red Bull or not. I think his teammate is Tyler there in the other Red Bull. Currently 5th on the D grid there, 117.5. Got OTL Alien still holding on right about now to provisional pole for the start of this race. That's 114.874, just 2/10 of the 200th of a second of the time that Liam had. So it's a bit of a competition between those two right about now. Only 2 drivers in the 114s. We'll see how that holds up at the end of this session. So far so good for them. Got a purple sector 2 here again from Clark as he gets through this lap, pushing as much as he can in terms of trying to get this lap just perfect here. Needs to get this car somewhere in the top 3 or top 4 for the start of this race here. Running a new livery on that Red Bull, does want to make sure he gets a good result as well. Let's see if he can pull that off. Got a few drivers out of the session here at the moment. And now goes up to 3rd fastest at 1:15.6 for Clark in the Red Bull, and I think that works pretty well for him. His teammate down to 6, so not too far off. See what's happening down at the bottom of the grid. We got Walker out on track. We got Extremist getting an out lap in. I think we got Tucker and Maddie on laps right about now. And I think they're running just behind each other. So we'll follow on with the McLaren at the moment. See where he can put this car by the end of this. His teammate currently up in 9th at the moment after his 120.7, which hopefully he can improve on and possibly get a much better lap. And there goes that lap for Maddie and McLaren. That's an invalidated lap. We'll have to try it again. We're stuck on track. He's invalidated there as well. So it seems to be a situation where laps do get invalidated just a bit easily here. Just depends on how much on the edge these guys are pushing on through in terms of getting the laps started here. So let's see how that's going to work out as these guys get on through here. But on with Extremist in the Mercedes right now. Let's see where his lap might look like. But of course he's still on an out lap getting through. So is Walker behind of him, and I think Scooby's following on behind as well. So they're just running just behind each other. We'll look at the lap times as they get finished with that. Trying to have a look at how much time we have left here in qualifying, and it's just under 8.5 minutes, so not a lot of time left. We'll have to get a move on with this. I guess about half of the grid so far with lap times in. 3 drivers out to the session without that lap time in, so they'll have to start somewhere down at the back of the grid, which hopefully for them they'll be able to gain some time off the race start itself, because it's a bit of a run getting down there to get into that heavy braking zone. And I'm sure that's turn 1 or 2, but I think it will most likely be turn 1. But yeah, going to be a bit interesting to see how that works out in terms of slipstream advantage to run that bit of straight and getting through that, and there might be advantage for some of those cars in the midfield. Just we'll have to see how it goes. First stream we're doing here at EMILIA as well, so going to be a bit tricky to see what's happening with that, and we'll have to get adjusted as we go into the session with how the guys handle the track as well. That's another invalidated lap there, whereas Walker in his lap, he's invalidated there as well. In the Alpha Taurus, we'll have to try that once more. We got Scooby invalidating as well, so all three drivers on the bottom there have invalidated their laps, whereas Beefy on track, and he's getting started on lap right now. Let's have a look on board as he gets through sector 1, and bit of a heavy braking zone into turn 1 and turn 2, getting around there. A bit tricky through that, and it's going to be a bit tight as well for most of the cars who are going to try to get through at the same time. We'll see how well they actually manage to pull that off. Bit of a tricky turn, that one that we just went through, so gotta actually be careful in terms of braking zone to get around. So far so good here with Beefy on this current lap. Has not invalidated as yet as he keeps getting on through and goes a bit uphill right now, a bit of a blind spot getting into that braking zone. Gotta know which side it's actually going for. Remember that the circuit is anti-clockwise getting around. So far so good. He's trying to be as careful as he can. He's just trying to make sure he does get a lap in, because he has come out a bit late or on in the session with just 6.5 minutes remaining right about now. Does need to get a lap time in. His teammate has already invalidated his first attempt. Let's see if he's going to be able to pull a lap time out here and possibly get this car somewhere in the top 5 at least for the start. Maybe at least the top 8, if not the top 5 at this point here, and then possibly try another lap if he can. Of course, he's doing this on the mediums right about now. We'll see what this strategy is going to look like at the end of this here. And goes P6, 117.0 so far. Not a bad lap time in for Beefy there. Gotta have a look and see where his teammate is going to be on track, if he's trying for another lap or not. Of course, we know his teammate is a bit camera shy, does not like to be on stream. Always invalidates when he is, but let's have a look and see how this lap is going anyway. So far so good as he gets on through here. Of course, Walker always pushes to the edge of the track here. As much of the track as he can use up, he does use, just to maximize his lap time and get the best spots to lap in. But he does get some pretty good lap times in when he actually puts a lap time on the board. We still got OTL Alien holding on to provisional pole, 114.874, and Liam currently still second there, 114.896, 200 of a second down, and he's now on an out lap. Going to try to improve that time if he can, getting to the end of the session with the final 5 minutes that we have remaining here. 3 drivers still out in this session, not going to be able to make a time in. See what's going to happen. Nick now down to 15th. After drivers getting their time, and we got Walker going up to 5th right now. His teammate now down to 7th, and Walker with a 115.909. So far so good with that. Just about, I think, 3/10 of the time that Clarky has in front of him. So not too bad with that. We're on with Liam right now. Let's see where he is. So Liam currently running, I think sector 2. Yep, he is. Gonna try to improve his 114.896, possibly get that car onto provisional pole by the end of the session if he can. Going to be a bit of a difficult task, as his fastest time so far is a 114.8, but I think this is his second attempt at getting a lap time in. So let's see if he can pull this off. Hopefully it does not invalidate the lap, because we're coming close off to the end of the qualifying session. Only a short qualifying session before getting into this 100% race here at EMILIA. I'm still getting used to the track map myself, as just having a look where these guys are on the track getting through. So getting through final few turns here is sector 3. Let's see if this is going to anyway be an improved lap or not. Does not look like it will. He's getting back into the pits. Let's see who else we got. Oh, we got Nick Guts, a faster time now, and 115.852. Gets up into P5. Not a bad position to be in. Of course, they got Walker in the middle of those 2 McLarens there now. To get started this race, that's going to be a bit interesting on as they get started with it. We'll see what's going to happen. Extremist in the Mercedes out for another lap there. His teammate unfortunately not able to make a lap time, I think, in here, so he's going to be up to him in terms of getting at least 1 car into the top 10 for a pretty good start. Hopefully can get a good start. We'll see what's going to happen in that case. Down with Chirpy here in the Alfa Romeo. He's trying to get another lap in. Currently 11th on the grid. I think he was the first driver to get a lap time in at 180.4. Need to see a faster time come off of his car. Let's see if he can pull this off. So far so good on this lap, as he's just got a purple sector 2, aiming for a purple sector 3 here to possibly improve and potentially put that car maybe on top 3 for the start if he can. Let's see what's gonna happen. It is possible at this point here. Of course, getting into those 115s and faster is a bit tricky here at EMILIA. Gotta just get that set up right and just make sure you can get through some of these turns as quickly as you can here, and gotta watch the braking zones as well. As he gets across the line at 117.4, it's what it's at now. It's speed 10 for him, and not overly bad, but let's see if he can get anything fast. If he does try another lap or not, I'm not sure if he will. Let's see what's gonna happen. We got Bob here invalidated in Williams, though still trying to get a lap in. I'm gonna go on with Extremist in the Mercedes once again, getting into sector 2 right about now. Not a purple sector 1. Sector 1 seems to be a bit difficult for most of these drivers getting through in terms of anyone else getting a faster time, but Alien and Liam have set the bar pretty high, I think, with that in terms of sector time for sector 1 so far. Okay, most of our drivers might start to retire off the session right about now, just because we're coming close off to the end. Tucker there, 120.4. Holds him into 15th for now. Vintage had a 120.1. That holds him 14th at the moment. And still wait to see if the Mercedes can potentially get a faster lap time in. So far so good on this lap. Let's just see if he can just make it through the final few turns without actually invalidating a lap here. So P8 here for the Mercedes, 115.9, gets it pretty well up into the top 10. I think that will work so far with the amount of drivers that we're going to have on track here. It looks like 19 for the start of this race. Hopefully we could have one more join on. We'll see what's going to be the situation with that. But 1 minute left here in qualifying. We got Liam on another outlap. Alien just staying in the pits, happy with this 114.874. Doesn't seem like he's too confident that Liam is going to beat that lap time and take away provisional pole from him. Of course, they're going to be side by side on the track either way as it goes, because I don't see anyone else getting into the 114s. Sam has made it pretty close though, 115.0. He's only about 2/10 off the time of which Liam currently has there. So potentially he could get that time in, but I don't see him trying to get back out. I think he might have given up on trying to get a faster time in as it is there right now. Walker on another outlap, going to want to try to improve that P6 start position as it is there. Let's have a look, see if Liam is able to improve this lap time, pushing as much as he can here right about now, trying to avoid those yellow bumps on the curves, getting through. He is using up as much of the track as he can. Does make sure that he doesn't invalidate, and I think he potentially could get a faster lap in. It's a bit tricky getting around the circuit, so he's got to push as much as he can. But I think P2 for the start, not too bad, but he's going to have to fight his way for the lead on that opening lap. So let's see if he can pull that off. I think we're at the end of, we're kind of finally run to the end of qualifying right now. We're on the overtime for Edmund, currently running a lap, and then that's going to be it. We're getting straight to the start of the race here. Let's see if anyone else will be able to improve their final lap time here that they're currently running. Alright, back onto the start finish straight, and this is where DRS zone is getting around there as well. Does he improve? And he does take away provisional pole by about 3/10. He goes on to that on his final lap here. Demala so finally gets that done after quite a few attempts, and puts Alien down to second for the start of this race, and by quite an improvement as well, 3/10 faster than what Alien had. So impressive lap for him. And once again, there's a tire stuck on the track. I'm not sure what's the issue with the tires so far in this game, but there's always one stuck on the track somewhere. So Liam on provisional pole for the start of this race. So see Alien down to second, got Sam in third. Top three so far. Lap times are pretty close off to each other as well. And those 115s, 116 going down. I think it's going to be quite an interesting battle on the opening lap here at Milan. We'll see how well the guys handle getting through into turn one in that braking zone as well. Throughout the race, we'll see what safety car issues are going to be like, if we're going to have a lap or not. Now let's have a look. Results here for the qualifying session. Liam was fastest, got onto provisional pole for the start there of the race. Did that on the softs as well. Alien will be starting on the mediums, as we can see. We'll have a look at tires on the formation lap as it is. So Alien starting second. We got Sam will start third, Clarky in fourth, Nick in fifth, Walker starting sixth, Maddie in seventh, Extremist in eighth, Mazepin in ninth, Tyler in 10th. We got Beefy 11th. Usual place where he is going to be usually starts his races. And then we got Sharpie there 12th, Scooby in 13th, Bob in 14th. 14, Tucker 15, Vintage in 16, got Christian in 17, got Dixie there 18, and Cody down to 19th. Unfortunately, we don't have a 28 on the grid to make it a full grid for this race, but when I get into the race session now. Okay, so we're on with the formation lap here for EMILIA, and let's get a bit of stats on screen, and we can have a quick look. I think I just changed that the wrong way there. Let's get tires on so we can have a look at everything as we get around the track here right about now. So starting grid as it is for the 63 laps here at EMILIA for the EMILIA ROMAGNA Grand Prix. We got 19 cars on the grid. We got Liam starting on pole there. Going to be doing that on the softs as well. Got OTL Alien starting second just alongside him on the mediums, of course, so a bit of a different strategy between those two. One running a short stint and one on a longer stint. We'll see what's going to happen if a safety car does present itself within the first 10 laps. And of course, Sam there in the Aston Martin will start third on the grid on the softs. Clarky, Nick and Walker 4th, 5th and 6th on the grid, all on the mediums. Then we got Maddie Extremist Mazepin on the softs, 7th, 8th and 9th. We got Tyler and Beefy 10th and 11th, both on the mediums. Then we got Chirpy, Scooby, Bob, and Tucker on the softs, going from 12th to 15th on the grid. Vintage and Christian, as well as Dixie on the mediums, 16, 17, and 18th. 19 with Cody on the softs. So he is definitely looking to gain some positions off the start, being on the soft tires there. So we'll see how it's going to work out. Of course, mix of strategies on the grid. We got someone getting in. That's one of the Red Bulls, I think, just getting into the walls on the side of the track on the formation lap. Hopefully everything is fine on that end. I think that was actually Tyler. Let's have a quick look, see if we can see any damage potentially on that car. And he is trying to get back into his position on the grid. Hopefully he didn't take any damage. I'm not sure if he did. Doesn't look like the Red Bull has any damage getting on through. Going through the track, just trying to get back his position right about now. Alright, let's get back out in front as everyone's going to be sorted through on the grid right now. We're going to keep this on position changes. You guys are usually going to be up to date with that as we get on through the first 2 laps at least. Then we'll have that switch around, and then we get into lap 3, have the DRS come online. Going to be a bit of an advantage to everyone running within a second of the car in front of them. I think everyone's back sorted on the grid. We got Liam on the left side. We got Alien on the right. Let's see who gets a better run down into turn 1. And of course, grid getting a bit mixed up right about now. So let's let that be. Looks like we get a bit of an equal start, but I think Alien's going to get alongside Liam pretty easily, and he does actually get that. And looks like Sam gets in the middle of it as well. So I got about 3 cars going wide into turn 1. Let's see how well that's actually going to go as they go wheel to wheel. A bit of contact as well. The Aston Martin gets pulled back down to the third as where it started there. Strategy down at the bottom looks like it is a 2 to 3 stop races. Most likely we'll have possible 4 stops in this. It just depends on what strategy these guys are going to run. Liam still holds on to that lead, getting through the Ferrari, still in second. Martin still in third. Clarky holding on to fourth. Walker up a position into fifth. Nick down to sixth, and behind in front of his team is still and running the Mercedes Extremist. He's gained back his position from where he started. Beefy gained 2 positions off the start so far, so he's up in the 9th and trying to hold that position. You already got a virtual safety car, but something's happened to Dixie down the back of the track. He's stuck there in sector 1, and I think they're trying to get a car off track already there. So only a VSC so far. I don't think that's going to be turned into a full safety car, so at least they're slowing down on the opening lap. So quite an interesting start, quite a few position changes as they got started with that. Top 4 holding their positions as it is. and see Walker gain one, Nick lost one. Let's see what's going to happen with those two as they get back started here. We're going to keep this back on tires as we get going. Remember, we do have a bit of rain coming down at the end of the race. We'll have a look and see when that's going to happen. But at the moment, let's have a look as they get back racing again. Track is green and VSC is actually over. So let's have a look, see what's going to happen here. Got a pretty close gap with the Aston Martin and the Ferrari here of Alien and Sam. See, they're still going to have a pretty good run getting through. Of course, no DRS until we get around to the next lap. You can see Extreme's a thing down in the back there. Coming in at Mercedes, I think he's trying to gain a position off of Matty there in the McLaren. And he's pretty close off of doing it, but lost just about 2 tenths so far. Let's see if he's able to gain that time back as they get on through here. Out in front, Liam holds on to his lead pretty well against the Ferrari of Alien. There's just about 5 tenths, but still keeping a gap as it is. Needs to get out of that 1 second range though, if he wants to keep him out of the DRS advantage, which will be coming into the next lap of the race. Let's see what's going to happen. Of course, remember, it's 63 laps for the race and only on lap 2 getting through. They're going to be just pacing their strategy with tires here and pushing it for as much as time as these cars can last. They're going to have to avoid going wide. We haven't seen any penalties come online as yet. Of course, it is a new track, limited practice so far. There will be some penalties coming pretty soon. He has the Aston Martin of Sam trying to pull on the inside of that Ferrari, trying to get alongside him now, and they're side by side going. It looks like he might be able to get that overtake done, but let's see how that works. We got another virtual safety car. Something's happened again down in the back, and I think that's on Mazepin on this occasion here. But I think there's a Sharpie out of the session. That's Alfa Romeo out. I think something's happened to him there, which is why we had another virtual safety car. Potentially we're looking at either a 2-stop or a 3-stop strategy. Depends how these guys want to push this one, where the strategy is showing down at the bottom. I'd highly doubt they're going to be running so many soft tires in the race. Let's see what's going to happen. So second VSC in a session so far. That should be over in just a bit as we get on through the session here. Hopefully avoiding a full safety car. 2 drivers out of the race so far and now into lap 3. Getting on through. Got a second between Liam and Alien on for the lead. 1.3 seconds what it's up to right about now, so he's gaining some time and he's gonna keep the Ferrari out of his DRS range if he can here. He is on the soft tire, so he does have that advantage to just go a little faster if he can actually find the pace in the car. But of course the gap going back down under a second right about now. Still on with the Aston Martin of Sam here, who's putting that Ferrari under pressure. He's trying to get past it the second, not able to pull that move off as yet, so he needs to find a pretty good overtaking spot on the track and just see how that's going to work for him. We do have Clarkey in the Red Bull coming just behind of this, only about 6 tenths, being followed by Walker, then followed by both McLarens, and one McLaren is out of the race. What's happened to him? Trying to have a look, and he's on to the side of the track. Not sure if he had contact with his teammate or another car for what happened there, or just lost the car, either one of the three. But let's going to continue on through. It's at the side of the track, so I think we're going to just continue on through with the race as it is there right about now. I think we're going to keep on with Clarkey here in the Red Bull. Let's see how this is going for him. So far so good, keeping a gap of at least about half a second to the car in front. Sam, of course, still trying to get past that Ferrari for second place and not getting any luck. I think he just got some luck there because he just got by, and looks like the Aston Martin trying to push for that position as well as Liam goes a bit wide off track. Still gets it on back. Might have gotten a warning for that, and now he's down to third. Got the Red Bull of Clarkey going around the outside as well for him to try to gain another position here. Let's see if he's going to be losing it. Doesn't look like he's giving up any more positions. The Ferrari gets out into the lead. Alien holds on to that by 1.9 seconds. He's trying to keep his lead out front, trying to keep everyone out of the DRS range. The Aston Martin, of course, going to follow him on through for that position. Was quite close in the qualifying between Alien and Liam in terms of provisional pole for the start of this race here, and I think it's shown what the Ferrari can do, because he's taken away the lead and he don't think he's going to be giving it back. Liam trying to get past Sam in the Aston Martin. He needs to get back into second place to try and chase after Alien for that lead, and he's having a heck of a difficult time actually getting this overtake done. He's right up to the rear of the Aston Martin, not able to pull out that overtake as yet. Has his DRS advantage to use coming into that range here. Let's see if he's going to be able to possibly pull something off into turn 1. One of the portion of the track, kind of easy to get an overtake done if you can time it right and get a close enough gap as he gets on through that on board right about now with the Haas, and he's closing in on the Aston Martin right now. Let's see if he's going to pull it around the outside, and he does push it around the outside to get up into second place. Very strong slipstream going through into turn 1 here at EMILIA. So he gets that advantage up. He's now into second and going to chase after Alien out in front to try and get back to the race lead if he can. Let's see if that's going to work for him. Gap is 1.5 seconds towards the Ferrari out in front. Still has Sam to deal with behind of him just by about 4/10. So still a pretty close gap. Needs to be a bit careful with that as he continues on through. Looks like Walker's up into 4th. We've lost the Red Bull that was running here. I'm not even sure where he is on track here at the moment. Clark is all the way down to 13th. He's pitted and might have taken some damage in the car, which might explain why he pitted this early off in the session. Let's see what's going to happen as they get on through. So Walker's up at the 4th. Maddie's still running there in 5th. His teammate out of the race, of course, so he does have to score some points here for McLaren in terms of the Constructors' Championship. We'll have a look at the standings in a bit later on in the race if we can. Hopefully, if we do have a safety car, we'll probably use that to our advantage and just have a look at what the standings currently are. That Alien out in front has lost about 6/10 already, for over 5/10, because Liam is now trying to get within a second of that Ferrari. Wants a DRS advantage, and looks like he might just be able to get it as he just got fastest lap there. And I think the soft tires he's putting to work right about now, using the advantage of that faster pace that he has against Alien, who's currently still on the mediums. He's trying to desperately get back into the lead right now, closing in as much as he can by about 6/10 is what he's up to. Let's see what's going to happen. Gap between him and Sam, of course, has come to just a bit of a distance, down to about 1.2 seconds. So he's kept him out of the DRS range and not worried too much about the Aston Martin behind. Walker, of course, 2.6 seconds to catch up to Sam. Now let's see if he's able to break his gap down and potentially get into a better position here, because he's trying to get his car onto a podium position if he can. Still on with the House of Liam, of course, 4/10 between him and the Ferrari that leads, and that's Alien there. Let's see if he's able to keep the lead for the next few laps. Only lap 6 of this race, and a lot has happened so far getting through. Still got 16 drivers out of 19 remaining in this race. Of course, it is a 100% race. Not everyone is able to actually complete one of these races. We do tend to have drivers sometimes just DNFing a session purposely because they don't want to finish it. Let's see what's going to happen in this case here. So we had a decent number finish the last 100% race that we had, and that was for the Portuguese Grand Prix that we did not too long back. And we got the Haas going side by side with the Ferrari on the inside into turn 1. Gets it done before getting into the braking zone as well, so not a bad overtake for him, and already ahead by about 3/10 as Sam now tries to catch back up to the Ferrari. See if he's going to have much luck with that, but brilliant move actually from Liam getting back his position now. Of course, those soft tires are going to be degraded a lot faster than the mediums that Alien has on, so he will have to do a pit stop pretty early off in the race. So both of them running on different strategy. Want to see who was on the better strategy by the end of this and see what's going to happen. We're going to go a bit further down the field right now. Let's see where Walker is on track. 3.1 seconds towards the driver in front of him, so he's lost a bit of time, at least about half a second so far as he's trying to catch up. Of course, he's running on the mediums. Let's see how that works out with him. Maddie there in 5th, chasing after the AlphaTauri. Of course, he's stuck between 2 AlphaTauris right now. Beefy behind of him by about 5/10 at the moment, and of course, he's trying to get another position up if he can to follow on behind his teammate in this race. And let's see if he's going to get that advantage. And that gap is 6/10, and he's trying to close in as much as he can. Has the DRS advantage at this point here, and hopefully he's going to try to use it and close the gap in towards the McLaren and possibly get an overtake done. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to pull this off. Out in front, gap between Liam and Alien is just about 5/10 right now, going a bit down to 3/10. I'm not sure if there's going to be an overtake happening there, but it's closing in pretty quickly. Let's have a look at the Ferrari trying to come around the outside of the Haas, and looks like they're fighting it through side by side. I'm not sure who's going to come out in front of this one, but looks like the Ferrari is forced a bit wider right now. Has to slot back into second place, and was a good attempt at getting that overtake done, but good defending on Liam's end, holding on to the lead. And of course, that is the lead of the race. He's not going to want to give that up that easily. Once again, Alien trying to get side by side with the Haas, still holds on back to second. All of this fighting does allow Sam and Aston Martin to catch up to them, though. He's only about 6/10 behind and still closing his gap as he tries to keep that going. Currently on lap 8 here at the moment. EMILIA getting through, and a pretty good battle going on for the lead of this race. From the start to this point, it's been quite heated between these two, especially with the lap times that we saw they had. We know that this was going to happen in the race. This is going to continue, of course, until pit stop strategy is going to separate them a bit. and then they're gonna bring it back together down at the end of the session. We'll see who's gonna run better in the wet though, because that's gonna be interesting to have a look at when we do get around to that portion of the session. Let's get back down to further on with back here. Looks like Beefy has finally got past Maddie. He's up into 5th behind his teammate by 2.8 seconds. Gasly McLaren behind of him by about 6/10 though, so needs to be a bit careful of that still as he gets on through. Looks like Aiden's taking back the lead out in front away from Liam, and Liam will definitely will try to get it back, and I think that's happened going down one of those straights there. So yep, he's got that back pretty quickly, and let's see what's gonna happen as they continue on. Of course, Sam and Aston Martin keeping a bit of a constant gap here behind these two. He's not trying to get past him apparently, but he's keeping as close as he can. I guess hoping that they take each other out. We'll see what's going to happen. We do have penalties in play right about now. As you can see, multiple cars with penalties on track, and both P1 and P2 have a penalty. Most likely a 3-second. We'll have a look at that a bit later on. Sam, of course, no penalties, looking pretty good at getting a pretty good position here against these two if he can keep this up. Walker with a penalty. Beefy, no penalty so far. A few more drivers down in the bottom with penalties still. We'll keep an eye and see how this continues on through. But about to get into lap 10 pretty soon here. That's going to give us about 53.5 laps to finish off here at Imola. Okay, so we get into the next lap here right about now. 2 tenths between these two out in front, fighting for the lead of the race, and let's see what's going to happen as they continue on through, and looks like they're going to go side by side. Liam's going to try to take back that lead once again, and he does get it back before the braking zone of turn 1, and I think that's where the advantage is on the track here. In terms of the slipstream advantage, along with the DRS, does provide a pretty good run on the start finish straight into turn 1 here at Imola, and I think that's where the biggest advantage is going to be in terms of these guys getting an overtake done. We got Sam in the Aston Martin down there in 3rd. He's definitely might try to get overtake done pretty soon. Let's have a look on board from his end, see what he's seeing with these two cars in front of him getting through the rest. He's keeping as close as he can to them, but I don't think he's finding a gap to possibly get by them. I don't know if he wants to attempt to do that right about now as well, or he might put this down to pit stop strategy in terms of trying to get a position away from them, because he can see that they keep switching positions in front of him, but he just needs to keep his gap as to what it is right about now, and he's done that pretty well so far going. We have both AlphaTauris coming behind of that. I think we got Walker coming here just behind in 4th. Then we got Beefy coming here in 5th. He has the McLaren behind of him, so he needs to be a bit worried about that. Let's see how much longer he's going to be able to continue on. Let's have a look what happened between these two as they get onto the start-finish straight run here, because they have the DRS advantage here for the McLaren, and I want to see if that's going to provide any sort of... And this time he's going to get side by side, but I want to see if he's going to get the overtake done before the braking zone, and he does actually get it done. So that's Beefy down in position here, and then we got the McLaren already up into P5 here right about now. Let's see if he's able to hold on to that. It does look like Beefy is going to fight it back at this point, or keep the gap as close as he can, as much as he can, for as long as he can, going into the next lap maybe, and I think that's where he's going to possibly try to get his advantage done. Let's get it down a bit further down the field, have a look at the rest of the drivers that we have going on. We got Bob here, he's chasing after Scooby, of course, who's just about 3.2 seconds in front of him, so still a bit away for him to go. Got the Mercedes of Extremist right now under maybe a little bit of pressure. You can see from the Alpine of Tucker behind him in 11th. Gap is just about 1.2 seconds, average about that, so he's running pretty well, trying to keep that gap over a second if he can, trying to keep him out of the DRS range. We got Cody in the Aston Martin, the next Aston Martin in the race, fighting it of course with a Ferrari as well, so both Aston Martin having a bit of an issue with Ferraris in front of them, and you know, these two are going side by side. Looks like Cody gets by Vintage though, so he's up into 13th. Vintage now lost the position down to 14th. Of course, strategy wise, we got Cody on the faster tires here, but they're going to start to wear pretty quickly as we're now on lap 12 of this race. So 12 lap on those soft tires will wear them away quite quickly. Mediums will run a bit longer here with Vintage, so we'll see how the strategy plays out. Tyler behind Vintage right about now in the next Red Bull here, trying to catch up. See what's happening on his end. His teammate Clark is up at the 9th right now. Beefy's got back his position away from Maddie out in front there. We got the Red Bull trying to go around the outside, and he might just be able to get this done. Takes the inside, and he gets it run pretty well. So we get a Red Bull of Tyler. He's up a position now. Vintage down by 2 positions since we've actually been following him in for the past lap and a half or so. And Tyler's already trying to gain some more time getting out here. Matt's been down there in 16. Nick, Chirpy, and Dixie out of this race, unfortunately. Let's have a look what's happening out front with our race leader here. Liam still in the lead. Holds it off from Alien, currently in second by about 3/10. And it will be a switch by switch until one of these guys decides to do a pit stop. And that's, of course, it probably most likely will be Liam doing a pit stop for us. Unless at this point we do end up having a full safety car within the next few laps. They might both end up pitting at the exact same time, and we'll have to see how it works out strategy wise as the Ferrari tries to move around the outside once again and gets it done before the braking zone of T1. And that's Christian out of the race. What's happened to his car? I'm not sure. Let's see if we can have a quick look here as we are on board right now with the Aston Martin. There's his car down on the side of the track. Not sure what's happened to him. Unfortunate for that. So that's one Alfa Romeo out of the session. And I don't think that's going to be a safety car or VSC. Might just be a yellow flag there in sector 2, I think it was. Alright, so he's out of the session. We got 15 drivers in total now remain here, and we're on lap 13 of 63 at the moment. Gives us an average about 50 laps more to go in the race. So we're just getting settled in. Still, we got a pretty good battle going on out in front with the top 3. Still, as it is, we're just about 5 to 6 tenths separating the top 3. Alien now continues to lead in the Ferrari. Liam in the Haas there in second. He's trying to get back his race lead. Sam there in third in the Aston Martin, just trying to follow on with these two. And I think he's just holding back a bit. Doesn't want to get in the middle of this, as he does see that getting a bit messy out in front. He is, of course, on the soft tires. Should have that advantage to catch up to these guys and possibly get by. Of course, does depend on the setup as well, and provide how much straight line speed he's going to get. And how much of the advantage he's using, how close he's actually trying to get to them. We have the Haas of Liam. He's going to try to pull for a move pretty soon here, I assume, going into the next lap. We'll see how that's going to work for him, because 13 laps on those soft, they are going to start to get a bit old right about now. We do expect a 3-stop strategy possibly here to happen in this race, being it is 100%, so we'll see what's going to happen. That would have been just a 2-stop strategy, I assume it would have been, if this was a 50% race. So except we have to do just one more stop. Tires will last a bit longer than expected compared to the 50%, but let's see if that works out with these 3 out in front. Gaps are closest where we are right about now. We're now 2 tenths between Alien and Liam, and we're into sector 3 of lap 14, getting into lap 15 pretty soon. We're about to have that DRS advantage come to the Haas here, and of course a slipstream advantage as well to him. And of course Sam will follow on with all of the advantage behind, just not trying to get the overtake done. We're going to follow on again and see how this works as we now get onto that bit of straight into turn 1. Let's see how the advantage works. Will the Haas get by? It looks like he's already trying to get side by side with him, and he's going to pull a move, possibly get the overtake done before the braking zone as usual. Has been a switch by switch coming on through from race start to this point here. So Liam gets back into the lead. We got Alien back down to second. Aston Martin, of course, of Sam, they're still following on through just there in third. He's keeping close, but not too close to these guys, as he's having a good look of what's happening out in front. Might just be waiting for the pit stop strategy to possibly have something done in terms of him trying to gain back a position here. But we'll see how that's going to work out. Let's bring the stats back online before we do get a copyright claim on the video once again, as with the usual ones. So we still can have a look, see who has done a pit stop so far. Anyone with less than 13 laps on their tires have done a pit stop in this race so far, as we can tell. Down to 15 drivers remaining here of 19 who got started here at Imola. Let's see how many will actually finish the race. We're hoping for more than 10 to finish off this race. Still following on with these 3 out in front, as it's where most of our battles are at the moment anyway, as we get on through them. We're getting into the next lap right about now. So with Alien here, let's see if he's going to have an advantage of potentially getting ahead of the Haas again, or might not get it on this occasion because he's not close enough as yet to get side by side with him. He does get side by side, but on the outside, I think he has to hold back that position to second. That was a bit of a risky move. He potentially could have lost second place, as now the Aston Martin is right up to the rear of him and potentially trying to get by there as well. He might keep that gap as close as he can, trying to pull an overtake here, because I think he made a bit of a mistake trying to push for that move. Should have kept it into second, because he did go side by side just a bit too late and didn't have enough room to pull off into turn 2 and possibly get the overtake done. And I think they're now getting into some traffic as they get around those cars there. So I think we might be looking at pit stop time for those on the soft tires here very soon. Oh, get the House of Liam going wide. Does he take another penalty there, though? That's going to be the case here. I'm not sure about that, but let's see what happens as they continue on through. Gap is extremely close right about now. Let's keep the stats off screen for the moment and see what's happening here. But so far, just about 2/10 between the Haas and the Ferrari. You got the Aston Martin still coming behind. Sam still just having a look at these guys. I think I see what he's actually waiting for. He's just waiting for one of them to just make a mistake, as Alien did on the previous lap, and he's going to take his advantage on that and try to get into second if he can. We'll give him a bit of a lead as well if he does get it done, and we do have the Ferrari close enough on this occasion. He's going to try around the outside and get into the lead before the braking zone once again. Gets back up to P1. That's Liam back down to second. Of course, he's going to chase after the Ferrari once again to get back his lead. I think, of course, he's going to want to be in the lead when doing his pit stop. So let's see what's going to happen in that case here, because we're still continuing on through the race. No pit stops so far for the top 3 as it is. And they're now running 16 laps on these tires, either on the mediums or the softs, whichever it is. It's the same situation going on through. 7/10 is what the gap is. And Liam needs to close that as much as he can before they get into sector 3. Because it does become more of an advantage being about 2 to 3 tenths behind a car getting through sector 1 on the next lap. Sam, of course, still having a look behind these guys here and just trying to see where his advantage play can be in terms of him getting a better position than third here. Of course, he's looking at the point that he doesn't have any penalties, and I think he probably knows that both of these guys have penalties in front of him. So if he can keep this up all race, he is going to get a race win here at EMILIA. Of course, it's going to be an interesting one to see who can take the first win for the EMILIA ROMAGNA Grand Prix here at Slipstream Racing. And looks like Mazepin is out of the session. He's gone out of the session as well. So down to 14 drivers now. As we're still following on with these guys out in front, I think Liam is just closing in his gap right about now. Remember, guys, we do have the rain that is set to come down at the end of this race session here. So at least somewhere in the second half of the race, that should be happening. We'll see how early it's going to come or how late it's going to come. Already noticing it's getting a bit cloudy here on track. Of course, that's already going to mean track temperature is going to start to drop. So they're going to have to be careful with braking as we get further on into the race, especially if the tires start to get a little bit cold on track here. It's been 17 laps so far done on these soft tires, and we got Liam and Sam still going on it, not giving it up right now. And the advantage still stands for DRS here for the Haas there in second. So I think as long as he can keep that car within DRS range, he's good to go and keeping on those tires there. And it's been a pretty interesting race so far, so let's see what's going to happen. Sam, of course, into the pits right now. He's getting off his soft tires. I think he's decided they are too worn away. He's going to take a chance, go on a new set of mediums possibly here, and let's see what's going to happen. Liam, of course, still trying to get by the Ferrari here. I think he wants to get by the Ferrari of Alien, then do his pit stop. Let's see if that's what the case is going to be. And thanks to Chris Alien there for subscribing to the channel there as well. Just actually noticed that. Okay, so still on with a 5/10 gap here between Alien and Liam. Still on with these two. This is going to continue all race as far as we can tell until one of these guys decide to do a pit stop, and they're not going to that point. And we do expect Liam to be the first one to dive into the pit. So of course, Alien running on the mediums will run a very long strategy before actually doing a stop. Is it possible to do a one-stop strategy in a 100% race like this? I'm highly doubting it. with the way the tires might be going, but you never know what's going to happen. Let's see how far these guys can actually push on these mediums, because Walker and Beefy both on the mediums. They're third and fourth on the grid right now. Bit of a gap between them though. Well, let's see what's going to happen as we get further on in the session. 8-10 gap between these two as they get into the next lap here. That's into lap 20 of 63. We got another 43.5 laps to go still before we close off this race here. Definitely getting a lot more cloudy. We got a full safety car right about now. I think this is Liam's advantage right now, because he's definitely going to be doing a pit stop on this safety car that we got. Cody's out of the session. I think something's happened with his car that's caused the full safety car there on track. And I'm trying to have a look where that even is. I think I'm just seeing the safety car, not seeing where his car actually is. Let's see what's going to happen. Who's going to be getting into the pits or not? Looks like Beefy is already in. Walker was already past the pit lane entrance, but his teammate was not. So Beefy was the first of the front runners to do a pit stop here. Let's see if that's going to be an advantage to him in terms of getting out in front of any of these guys. I'm not sure as yet to see what's going to happen, but they're getting around now, about to get into sector 3. Definitely going to be pulling into the pits and trying to get a tire change in. Of course, to Liam, this is going to be an advantage. He's done 19 laps on those softs. Alien has done 19 on his mediums. I think he expected to run quite a bit more in the race before doing a stop here. So let's see what's going to happen as they get around, because I do expect both of them to go into the pits, but I'm not sure what's going to happen as yet. Of course, Walker coming behind of them by about 8.2 seconds. He's going to be diving into the pits here as well. And there we go. So we got both cars getting into the pit lane right about now. Let's see what the strategy change is going to be for the two of them as they get on in here. We got everybody else getting around the track. Let's see if anybody's going to get a jump on Alien in terms of the lead of the race. And he's going to get onto a set of soft tires here right about now. Liam, of course, getting onto a set of mediums. So they're switching the strategy right now and going. So they're still on different strategies. As one start, we got Alien started on the mediums. He's now on the softs. Liam started on the soft. He's now on the mediums and going on, getting back out on track. And let's see where they do get back out. I think there's a lapped Red Bull in front of them. Alright, so as it is there right about now, looking at the order of the grid after everyone's taking their pit stop, we got Alien still leading this race under the safety car though. Liam still in second, Sam and down in third, Walker in fourth, BP in fifth, Maddie currently 6th, Clarky in 7th, we got Extremis in 8th, Scooby there in 9th, Bob in 10th, we got Tucker 11, Vintage 12, and Tyler in 13th. So that's our 13 drivers that currently remain here in the session. Let's have a quick look if we can in terms of standings as what they are here at the moment. We'll have a look at the constructor standings. I think the guys did have that updated at the most. We can bring that online and have a quick look. Okay, just apologies about that. Yeah, getting on to, I think we're still on the safety car. Going should be at least one more lap. If you can just have a quick look, let me have a look, see what's happening on track here before I do make any attempt at doing this. Yeah, we're going one more lap under the safety car before going into the pits here, so we can get through these standings as it is. So constructor standings as it is so far, we got Ferrari currently leading. Good news for Alien there at the moment, 160 points. Mercedes currently second on the constructors, 159 points. It's only 1 point that separates them. And of course, it looks like Ferrari having a better day right now than the Mercedes team there. We'll see what's going to happen. Then we do have AlphaTauri currently third on the standings here, 155. And they're really not too far off, 5 points behind Ferrari. So this is going to make it a bit interesting because Walker and Beefy both running 4th and 5th. If they can finish the race with some decent points, we'll see what's going to happen. Williams currently 4th at 109 points. We got McLaren in 5th, 103. We got Haas in 6th, 94 points, and much more points needed there for Liam as well. Red Bull there 7, 60 points. We got Alpine in 8th with 55 points. Aston Martin in 9th with 46, and Alfa Romeo in 10th with 39 points as it is there at the moment. Let's see if we can have a quick look at the driver standings before we get started. So do we have time on that? Actually, I think we do have time on that. Let's have a quick look at the driver standings before getting back going here. So Clark still leads, not racing in the moment, 152 points, dropped in 2nd, 104. Mikey in 3rd, 100. Robbie in 4th, 85. Beefy 5th, 79. Walker 6th, 77. Got Nick in 762, Vintage 860, Mr. Rage in 958, Tyler 10, 47, Maddie with 34 points there in 11, Cody 34 points 12, and we got Extremist with 24, in 13, got Page 14, 23, Red Devil in 15, 15, and then we got Chris 16 with 12 points, Maspin 17 with 10, we got Albo with 10 points as well as Chris Jean and Scooby with 9 so far. And I'm trying to have a look. Are we going one more lap under the safety car here before we do get back going? So I'm trying to figure out right about now, see what's happening in that instance here. It looks like we are going one more lap. I think we were just short a lap with that. Yep, so we're going one more lap. We're going to be back racing into lap 24 after that safety car. So we should be going in then. So 13 drivers remain here in the session. Currently on lap 23 behind a safety car here at Imola. And it hasn't been too bad of a session so far. I think it's going to get a bit more interesting with Alien and Liam when the rain starts to set in. It's still quite sunny out. It's starting to get back a bit more, with a lot less cloudy right about now as far as you can see. I think the sun is starting to come back out a bit. I think that cloudiness is still lingering around right about now. So that rain is still set to come in somewhere at the end of this race. We'll see what's going to happen. If they will need to go on to intermediates or not, I'm not sure as yet. Graphic of the track seemed to be a bit off for a second there, but I think we're good so far getting on through. So Alien leads, Liam in 2nd. Of course, Alien's going to control the grid when that safety car goes in on this lap here. And let's see how the restart is going to look as we get around to that there. Alright, so we do have the confirmation there right about now from race control. The safety car is going to be in on the end of this lap. So we're going to have the Ferrari out in front, hold back the grid here. And of course, the restart is going to be up to him when he does get ready to get going again. And he's going to try, of course, to keep Liam as farther back as he can. Of course, Liam's going to try to keep as close to him as he can here. We can see Walker keeping as close as he can to the Aston Martin in front of him, and followed by his teammate Beefy there, Maddie in 6. Clark in the Red Bull there in 7. Let's see how this restart is going to go as they get around the final turn and back onto the start-finish straight. Looks like the Aston Martin getting a pretty good run against Liam, with just about 3/10 is what the gap is. And Ferrari getting away pretty well out in front by about 6/10 right about now. He's keeping that going. I think this is going to get a bit more interesting once the DRS comes back in online in another 2 laps or so. At the moment, we're still just going to run on Slipstream Advantage and ERS as they continue on through the session here. See what's happening with Walker trying to get past the Aston Martin to get up into 3rd place, and he's having a pretty good run with it. His teammate, of course, still trying to follow on behind of him. Looks like we lost one more driver on this session here. That is possibly Scooby and Alpine out. We're down to 12 remaining right about now. Still have not hit the halfway point of this race as yet, and almost losing about half of our drivers as we get on through the session. Track, of course, still a bit difficult for a lot of drivers, depending on the amount of practice they've had on the track, and we've come to the race pretty quickly instead of giving them at least a week more or 2 weeks more before getting to Imola, just to get a bit of the excitement out of the way with this and see how well they can adapt to the track and how quickly they have adapted to it. We got more penalties. We got every single driver with a penalty on the track right about now. Let's see if anyone can clear that further on in the session. If they have this a 5 second to do on the next pit stop, they can potentially pull that through. Liam, of course, it's about 7/10 right now behind Alien in the Ferrari. They're trying to get back into the lead. Walker trying to get past Sam for 3rd place, and it's a 5-10 gap, and he has a pretty good chance of getting this done. Let's see what's going to happen as they pull this through into the next lap here. Sam, of course, trying to keep that gap to what it is there right about now. Both AlphaTauri running pretty well, and both of them, of course, running on the same strategy here. I think the only thing that saved them under that safety car was that Walker was already past the pit lane entrance, and then Biffy got his chance to do a pit stop, so they did not actually have to double stack the AlphaTauris in the pits, which was, I think, was a bit of an advantage to the team as well. Let's bring this back on and have a look what's happening out in front. Looks like Liam is losing some time right now because he's now on the mediums, whereas Alien is now on the soft tires. So the advantage in pace goes towards the Ferrari at this point here, being on the faster tires. Of course, let's see how long that's going to last on through, because Liam is pushing as much as he can right now on those mediums. He's 1.1 second behind. He's trying to get within the DRS range if he can here, and he's having some trouble with that. DRS is now online again, so we will have that advantage for drivers who are currently running within a second of the car in front of them. But let's see how much he can break the gap down. We're on with Clark here at the moment. He's chasing after Beefy right about now, trying to get by. He's currently 6th. Let's see if he can get it into 5th position. And they now go side by side. Looks like the Red Bull has the inside, and he gets a position up. So Clark is up to 5th. Beefy's lost that position. He's down to 6th, and he's still trying to go around the Red Bull if he can here, pushing through as much as he can. And let's see what's going to happen. And a bit of contact between them as the Red Bull is now pushed off track, back down the position, and looks like Beefy gets back his position there into P5, and Clark is going to have to try to chase him after again. See what's going to happen. Gaps are going to be a bit different on this part of the race, getting through after those pit stops, because they've switched onto different tires now. So some of these cars will be running faster, some will be running just a bit slower as we get on through. Let's have a look at the Extremist right about now in P8 right now. He's chasing after the Red Bull, the McLaren in front of him. Has a Red Bull behind of him though. I want to see how far, and it's just about 5.4 seconds behind, so it's a little bit of time to deal with that at the moment. Looks like Alien getting the fastest lap out in front, getting the advantage against Liam now. But of course, going down to the end of the race, let's see what's going to happen. Is Liam going to run a long strategy with this set of mediums and then go on to a set of softs? We got Walker now gets up into 3rd. He finally gets past the Aston Martin there. And let's see what's going to happen as we get around to that. Looks like Sam is trying to keep as close of a gap as he can towards walkout to come, but I think he's starting to pull away just a bit, already about 5 tenths away. Let's see if he can get himself out of the DRS range here. Sam is starting to close back in. We know the Aston Martin has some decent pace as he's been chasing after those two out in front who've been fighting for that race lead for quite a bit now, but I think Walker's trying to get up to that position if he can. Already up into 3rd. Let's see if he can break his gap down, get into the DRS range between himself and Liam there. He's 1.2 seconds behind. Now 1.1 second. And looks like he is breaking that gap down pretty quickly. Now guys, back on board. Let's have a look at where Walker is at right about now, because he's closing in on Liam pretty quickly. Gap is down to about 6 tenths. Want to see, and Liam's getting a bit twitchy out in front on those mediums here, so that's going to cause Walker to close in even more at this point, and he's going into the pit. So what's happening to his car? Let's have a look at that right about now if we can. It looks like he's retired from the session, unfortunately. Not sure what the reason behind it is, but he's just retired in the pits and is giving up on the race here, so I'm not sure what's happening in that case there. Anyway, Walker is currently up into second now because of Liam retiring. We got Sam now running third, Beefy's now up into fourth, Clarky up into fifth now, Extreme is up into sixth, and everyone moves up a position due to this. That's going to leave us with 11 drivers remaining in the session as we get on through at the moment here. Walker has a 3.5 second gap towards the Ferrari out in the lead. Let's see if he's able to break that gap down and possibly catch up. And if he's going to be able to get that overtake done, he's still being chased by the Aston Martin of Sam here, so that position. Of course, Sam now getting back his third place position with Liam retiring for a session. Let's see if this is going to change as you get on through the rest of the race here. On lap 29 here at the moment of 63. We're approaching that halfway point pretty well now. Got about 34 laps or so more to go at this point in the session here. 4.2 second gap between Alien and Walker. That's going to start to drop down just a bit, I believe. Of course, it's now about 2 tenths between him and Sam, so needs to be a bit careful with that because he's still under pressure from the Aston Martin behind of him, who's still trying to get by right about now. Got a 5-10 gap between Beefy and Clarky at the moment. So I know those two are still at it there at the moment and going through. Just want to have a look, see if Sam is getting much luck in terms of getting an overtake done against the AlphaTauri here right now. Looks like Walker's holding on to the position quite well so far as he gets on through. I think we should be getting into lap 31 right about now at this point going. Let's see if the Aston Martin is going to have any luck getting through the DR zone coming up there in the next lap. She was about 3 to 4 tenths behind Walker right about now, so should have a bit of a better run in terms of trying to keep up with him, but I don't think he's close enough to possibly get side by side as yet. Let's see what's going to happen as they push on through though, because he's getting much closer. He pulls on the inside into turn 1, but will he be able to get that position up? It looks like he holds off Walker for getting back his position here. So Walker is now down to third. Got the Aston Martin up into second place in this race now. I think he's going to be quite happy with that position as well. As we're into lap 31 and going. Let's have a look at Beefy here, having a good run with Clarky. He's lost that position. A Red Bull out in front of him. Let's see if he's able to get it back at this point. On board right about now with Beefy here, see what's happening in terms of his gap towards that car in front of him. It's a 5 to 10 gap, and let's see if he's going to be able to break it down. Remember guys, we do have that rain to come around in the second half of this race, which we're approaching right about now. Not a penalty there for Walker as well. We have not have a look at penalties so far in this session as yet, so we're going to have wait just a bit more before we do get around to just checking out to see what the penalty situation is and how bad that's going to be when these guys do get across the line in terms of who's going to be losing positions, who's going to be keeping positions, and who's going to be gaining positions around that. Guys, at the moment as it is, we have everyone on track with a penalty right about now. Beefy trying to close that gap as much as he can. Walker trying to close back his gap against the Aston Martin. Looks like he's almost got it done. Didn't get to fully get that moved over with though, but he's still trying to push on through to get past the Aston Martin here. Might have to leave for the next lap, but he's right up to the rear of Sam right now. Let's see if he's able to get by before we get into the next lap, because we know that slipstream advantage comes in handy during the run down to turn 1. The rest of the track not so much on as he goes on through, but let's see if he does get a bit of an advantage. Gap is still around 4 tenths and needs to keep it under 4 tenths right now to potentially get a good chance of getting side by side with the Aston Martin to get back up into second. Alien out in front, leading this race by 6.5 seconds. I think I'm already starting to see something happening here on track. I'm not sure what I just saw. Hopefully it's not coming as yet for this guy, but we'll see what's going to happen. I'm trying to have a look on board to see what I'm seeing is right at this point. Gap now being about 4 tenths, not helping out with Walker, trying to catch up to him. Beefy has a 2-10 gap now, 1-10 gap towards Clarky there, and I think they're already having a switch. The AlphaTauri goes around the outside, a bit of contact between them, a bit of minor contact between them, but Walker gets back up into second. Sam gets back down to third now, so another switch between these two. Let's see how fast or how soon that's going to be switched once again. Clarky lost the position when P4. Beefy got ahead of him, so he's kept that. So both AlphaTauris gaining a position on the same lap, going pretty well for them so far in terms of keeping their positions here. Got a 3.1 second gap between Sam and Beefy. I'm noticing like if I just saw a few spots at drizzle, and it's happening on one portion of the track, so I'm not sure if it's actually starting to rain this early off in the session or not. It just might, because I'm seeing Walker losing the car just a bit here, so I'm not sure, are they losing track temperature right now, because Sam is now caught back up to him. That Honda is really dirty, man. Actually made it quite realistic going on through this game. So right up to the rear of Walker's car is where Sam is right about now. See if he's able to get back, because Walker did make a bit of a mistake there. Now once again, we're still trying to have a look to see if any rain is starting to set in. We're already just past the halfway point of this session, getting on through on lap 34 of 63. So Walker's back down to third. Sam has got his position back up into second. Of course, we know this is going to be a switch by switch as they get on through with this. Walker, of course, 2 laps fresher with his tires, so should have had that advantage, but the slipstream advantage is so strong through sector 1 that it does help cars, especially with the DRS advantage. And Walker seems to be having some trouble with the car. He's just sliding around just a little bit right now. In terms of the rear, I'm not sure what's happening. He's having a bit of oversteer or understeer at the moment going on there, but he definitely is having some problems at this point. It doesn't seem like track temperature has dropped as yet. Might start to get a bit cloudy in just a bit here in terms of that rain starting to set in. We'll see how things go as we get on through. Beefy back down to 5th. Another switch between him and Clarky here. We did miss that. So these two have been switching quite a bit as well. Gap between these two and between Walker is going to be 2.9 seconds there with Clarky out there in P4. We'll see how close that's going to get as they get further down to the end of the session. On lap 35 of 63, and let's see how many drivers are bold enough to push all the way to the end of lap 63 on this session. It's not an easy task to do, pulling through a 100% race here on F1 Esports. So these two are going to keep trying doing a switch, and Sam and Walker will try to keep doing a switch there as well. Yaxim is currently running 6th, about 10 seconds behind them. Got Maddie another 3 seconds behind the Mercedes, and he's running in 7th. Tyler another 14 seconds behind there in 8th. Got Bob in 9th, 8.5 seconds of a gap with in front. Vintage in 10th, and then Tucker in 11th, almost a lap down right about now, as he's just done another pit stop there. Out in front, we still got Alien leading by about 9.4 seconds. Walker falling out of the DRS range of the Aston Martin in front of him. Let's see if he's able to get that back. At this point, the only gap under a second is what between Beefy and Clark at the moment, and that of course is for P4. Walker definitely will try to bring that gap down, and he's trying desperately right about now to keep it under a second just to make sure he does have that DRS advantage. And let's see how well that's going to work for him. Trying to follow on with Clarky and Beefy right about now, see if anything's going to change with these two. So Beefy is trying to pull up to him, and he's closing the gap. Not sure if he's going to be closing it enough in terms of getting an overtake down here. He's going to try it on the inside potentially. Let's see if he's able to get it on the braking zone. A bit of contact between them. Doesn't get the position up though. Just tries to keep the car on track and just tries to make sure he doesn't lose another extra position here. So back on it again. Gap is now over a second though, as Walker gets his gap back down under a second. Let's have a look, see what's happening out in front. On lap 36 here at the moment, getting on through this race. And it's currently an 8-10 gap between them for a second. Let's see if they can keep that going all the way to the end. I think we potentially can have a look at what the penalty situation is so far. And we got some hefty penalties here at EMILIA. Got a 12-second penalty for the race leader out in front, which explains why he's trying to build such a big gap. Of course, the car in front behind him has an 11-second penalty. Walk with a 12 seconds. Clarky with 12. Beefy with just 5 there. Then we got Extremist with 9. Matty with 6. 14 for Tyler. 6 for Bob. 3 for Vintage and 3 for Tucker so far. So we got some extra big penalties here in this session. Let's see how that's going to affect the race down at the end. But of course, with the gaps that we're having and the amount of penalties that they have, some of these positions will be kept. Especially with Alien there having an 11.2 second gap. He definitely is looking at keeping a race win this evening here at EMILIA. But let's see if there's anything else is going to happen coming out in the race. He could potentially make a mistake, and of course remember we do have that rain expected at the end of the session. That could change things up just a bit, especially if we have another safety car here or not, and see what's going to happen in that case, because everyone's going to get bunched back up on the grid. And with the penalty situation as it is, that's going to make a bit of a difference in terms of them gaining and losing positions as they get across the line. On lap 37 at the moment, going on through 8-10 gap between Sam and Walker. Still a big gap out in front. Beefy of course losing a bit of time right now. He's 1.3 seconds sorry behind Clarky right now. Still trying to keep that up. Let's see if he's able to keep that up going. I think everyone knows what I'm looking for right about now. Just trying to have a look on board to see if he can see any spots that drizzle around the track at any point. Because a track such as these, it tends to start raining at some point in the track, a bit heavier than some. So we might start to spot some drizzles, maybe in some sectors of the track, while other sectors might remain dry. And we can already see some cloudiness starting to set in once again, so definitely that rain is incoming at this point in the session. Lap 38 of 63. Let's see what's going to happen. Down to 11 drivers left in the session and still pushing on through as much as we can here. Walker back behind the Aston Martin of Sam by about 4 tenths. So he's trying to keep that gap as he can, probably trying to get up. And unfortunately, it looks like it was just a choice for Liam to have to retire from the session, even though it was going that well. Having some trouble with his back, so not able to sit through the other 50% of this race. We got a move being done by Walker here as he gets around the outside of the Aston Martin. He gets up the position there on through the turn 1 and 2. So he's back up into second, only with a 2:10 gap though. And now down to just a 10, so he needs to keep this going here and start to build some sort of gap, because Sam is just trying to get back that position right away if he can here, not waiting until the next lap or until the next DR result. He's pushing as much as he can, getting through. Gap between Walker and Alien out in front is down to 4.7 seconds. I think Alien might have made a bit of a mistake, as that gap has dropped quite significantly from 11 seconds, and he's starting to drop even more. I'm not sure if he has any damage on the car. Let's have a quick look out in front to the Ferrari leading the race, and lost the entire front wing, so he's losing time right about now. I'm not sure what happened out in front, because he was him by himself, so that has to be self-inflicted in terms of him losing the entire front wing of the car. So he is going to be forced to do a pit stop right now, possibly get onto a set of mediums to possibly go to the end of the race here. And let's see what's going to happen, because we do expect a two-stop strategy with them. I think it's possibly hoping for a safety car at that point. This is now going to put Walker up into the lead of the race. Sam goes up into second as they continue on through into lap 40 of 63. We got another 23.5 laps or so to go in this session. Will be about another 30 minutes of racing or so we should have here, or maybe just a bit less. I'll say at least 25 minutes to go before we close out the session. Alright, so let's see what's happening here right about now. Looks like we have possibly some more pit stops because Walker's leading. Clark is now up into second. BP is turning third. Sam is now down to fourth. 20 laps on those soft tires are going to start to go right about now. He's going to have to think about doing a stop. Does he have any damage on his car? I'm not sure why he's falling back so much at this point. And he's still running pretty well. And let's have a look what's happening out front. So race lead being held by Walker in the AlphaTauri, and he's looking pretty good for the team as well because his teammate currently third on the grid. Of course, they have a Red Bull between them at this point here, so let's see how that's going to work out. 1.3 seconds towards Walker out in front. Clark is trying to bring that gap down and trying to catch up as much as he can. He's on the mediums, of course. So it looks like he might be taking over the lead of this race. And did Walker just doing a pit stop? He's going into the pits. That's 18 laps done on that. So I put the 19 laps done on that set of soft tires. As he now gets in, I assume his teammate will be pitting on the next lap. Let's see if that's the strategy that's going to happen here. And they're possibly going to go, and he's going onto a set of soft tires to go to the end of the race. Will he be able to take those tires all the way to the end? We're already on lap 41, getting on through. Still another 23 laps to go. And the seemingly can do about 21 laps or so on this set of tires here. So I think it's going to cut it quite close with the Walker here, trying to push this early on for a pit stop. But let's see when his teammate decides to pit. He's now back out on track into P6. We have Tyler out of the session right about now. He's retired off. And that's a safety car. Walker is going to kick himself out of this one because he just missed his chance here of doing a pit stop under the safety car if he had just waited one more lap. As he's now getting back around. Clarky out in front, and I think, where is he on track? Is he going to do a stop? Definitely will be doing a stop as he gets around here. 25 laps down on that set of mediums that he's currently on. Beefy is going to do a stop as well. This is going to be a bit of a disadvantage, I believe, to Walker here. Let's see if it's going to be an advantage or disadvantage. He potentially could get back out into the lead. Just depends on how far back he is right about now and coming on through. Because now Clark is going to go into the pits here, as will everyone else. We're going to keep on to Walker's car as he gets around sector 3 right about now. He needs to get around fast enough to get by everyone who's currently in the pit lane, but he cannot exceed the speed limit right about now. Has to drive with 40% less speed due to the safety car regulation right about now, and he's coming around the final two turns. Let's see if he's able to get by and get past the pit lane, take back the lead before Clarky gets out of the pit lane right about now. Trying to have a look, where is Clarky out on track? He is already exiting the pit lane right now. This is potentially going to be, if it does put him up into the lead, Walker now gets behind of him in a second, and that safety car has worked out extensively well for the Red Bull right now. So he's now taking over the lead. Alien now running third on the grid, Beefy running fourth. Extreme is now fifth. We got Sam down to 6th, Maddie in 7th, Bob in 8th, got Vintage in 9th, and Tucker in 10th. All 10 drivers should be getting points, provided they can finish the rest of the session here. And we're way past the halfway point of this, so it's going to be very interesting as we get around to the final stages of this race. And of course, we still expect that rain to come down somewhere at the end of the session. Of course, if it comes down too late, we won't have to switch to the intermediates. They will be able to finish on the track. It just depends on how much of intensity the rain comes with, how fast it's going to come, and just how much rain we're going to have. So we'll see what's going to happen when that's going to happen. We're already on lap 42, probably another lap or two more to go under the safety car before we get back racing. Then we had a total of 3 VNCs in the session so far, as I believe it was, and this is our second safety car going, or is it our third? I'm not even sure at this point. I think it's our second or third, I'm not even sure. I think it's our third safety car getting through, but still not too bad for a 100% race getting on through. And hopefully we can have at least half of the grid finish, as we have now 10 drivers remain in the session. If we have all 10 finish, it will be pretty good to see that happen. Following on with the Red Bull behind the safety car right now, everyone's going to close back their gaps here. Looks like Beefy doesn't have any penalties remaining. Is that the case? Let's have a look. And potentially, no, he does not have any penalties remaining here in the session. He's taking care of that during his pit stop. and he's back out in fourth though. So 12 seconds for the top 3 cars running on the grid right now behind the safety car. And of course, if he can keep within 12 seconds of Clarky, who's leading, he gets the win for the race. Extremes, of course, 9 seconds. We got Sam there 6, Maddie with 6, Bob with 12, got Vintage with 3 and Tucker with 3. We'll see what that works out for them because they're quite a way back there, so might not work out as well as expected in terms of them finishing off this race. We can see Clarky and Walker, of course, trying to race each other under the safety car. Of course, not that advisable. Could lead to one of them getting a penalty if they do hit the other one. So you have to be very careful about that getting through. Hopefully we can get back at racing at the end of this lap. That's going to put us into lap 44. Gives us an average of about 20 laps or so remaining. And hopefully we can go safety car free all the way to the end of the session from here. Okay, so back racing again. Let's see how the restart goes here as they get through the first sector here. I'm still trying to see if I'm seeing some turns on track, but I think that's just the barriers on the side that's showing that way. So the Red Bull leads with Walker in second, followed by Alien, then by BP and 4th, Extremis in 5th. Pretty close gaps between them as they get on through. 4 tenths, 3 tenths now down between Clarky and Walker there, both on soft tires. So let's see how the strategy works with them as they get on through with this. I think top 5 cars are on fresh soft tires there, except for Alien. Pitted just about 3 laps before. Walker pitted a lap before, but still all running on fresh tires to go all the way down to the end of the race at this point. Here Sam on the mediums to go down to the end, of course. Had to make that strategy switch. Let's see what's going to happen with his advantage, if he's going to keep an advantage going through the session as it is. So still on lap 44, getting back restarted with this race and going here. Walker still looking to get an overtake done against the Red Bull. Their gap is down to 4 tenths. Needs to keep it that close if he wants to get an overtake done. BP keeping his gap 4 tenths behind the Ferrari. And just see who's going to get an overtake done as we get on through into the next lap here, because we're about to get into the next lap right about now. And let's see what's going to happen as they go on through. So Clarky leads with Walker there in second, still trying to get ahead. And of course, the Red Bull gets fastest lap there. Sorry, Walker gets the fastest lap there right now. Coming on with his car at the moment. Doesn't look like he gets close enough into turn 1 to get an overtake done. So he's going to have to just keep with it at this point. Getting on through. Alien holds on to 3rd. We got Beefy holding on to 4th at the moment and coming through. I think the gaps are going to stay as close as it is right about. Don't get Extremis coming there in 5th, I believe it is. It's about a how far behind is he? I think about 3 seconds. Yes, about 3 seconds behind at least. Walker gets another penalty, of course. Beefy still without any penalties here, so let's see if he can keep that going and for how long he can keep that going. The Ferrari keeping on his tail though, so he needs to be a bit careful about that. In terms of him trying to get into the lead, has to be a bit careful about the pressure coming off the Ferrari behind of him. For him, he's going to be trying to get back into second and potentially back into the lead if he can. As we get into the next lap, let's see who has a better advantage going down that straight. And looks like the Ferrari gets fast, gets side by side with the AlphaTauri of Walker here. He gets by into second place. So we got both AlphaTauri's third and fourth on the grid right now. If Ferrari gets ahead, and I think he's going to keep going with that advantage. And he's going to chase after Clarky out in front for the lead. Let's see how well that's actually going for him, keeping Walker behind. Not going to be too easy because I think he's going to still try to get back up here for a position. 1.2 seconds where the gap is between Clarky and Alien. And of course out of the DRS advantage there at the moment, so let's see if he can get within DRS range. Of course Walker still within DRS range of that Ferrari, and Beefy of course still within DRS range of his teammate right about now. Gaps down further the field, just a few seconds I think separate most of the cars as it is right now. Still with our top 10 running, rest of the 9 drivers out of the session unfortunately. 100% race have been difficult for them to get on through with it, so let's see if the top 10 that we have left here can finish the session on lap 46 of 63 and going. Got at least about 17 laps or so remaining here. I think this fight might just continue on through all the way to the end of the race. We'll see what's going to happen. Beefy, of course, trying to have as much of an advantage as he can here. He is potentially looking at getting a race win this evening, because the gap as it stands is 1.3 seconds between Clarky and Alien, another 7/10 between Walker and Alien there. That's about 2 seconds, and between himself and his teammate about 8 seconds. That gives him about 2.8 seconds on average of 3 seconds total. And with the penalties that those guys in front of him have, he definitely can take away a race win here at Imola. So let's see if it's going to be his first win at Imola here or not. He's already had one win before. I think he's looking for a second one right about now. But it's going to be between him and his teammate here. Let's see if it does come down to it, will Walker allow Beefy to go ahead of him in terms of trying to just keep a position here. But I think Walker's trying to get past Alien again if he can. The gap is 1 second. He needs to get within DRS range right about now to get that advantage. Of course, still trying to push on through and keep as close as he can to the Ferrari here. Let's see how close that's actually going to push through with him. And does seem to be having a bit of a difficult time just trying to keep the gap under a second right about now. Out in front, of course, the Ferrari of Alien trying to keep up with Clarky for that lead. It's still 1.3 seconds, so highly doubt Clarky is going to be giving that up. The pit stop under the safety car worked pretty well for him, with Walker taking a stop before the lap before the safety car actually happened. But still, Walker up into third. His teammate looking for a potential win this evening, because look back at the penalty situation as it is right now. It's 18 seconds for Clarky, 15 for both Alien and Walker right now. That is more than enough time in terms of gaps for Beefy to get away with a race win here when they get across the line. He needs to keep his race penalty free at this point. So I think he's going to try, and maybe that's going to be his main aim at this point. He's just trying to keep it penalty free going off to the end of the session, and he can get a race win for the team itself. And Walker, of course, I guess will be finishing fourth on the grid. We'll see how that works out. And it's a switch with the AlphaTauri right now. They've done a switch. Beefy is now up into third. Walker takes himself down to fourth. I'm not sure if that was a agreed upon switch or that was just a switch between them. It might have just been a strategy switch with them. So they now put Beefy up into third place. It's 2.5 seconds towards Alien out in front. Let's see if he's going to have better luck in terms of catching up to that car, because they need the gaps to be as minimum as possible here for Beefy to take the race win. Walker, of course, going to just try to keep behind his teammate going on through. He's still going to have a decent position at the end of this. Should finish right there in P4, as with what the gaps are right about now. Haven't had a look at how many penalties Sam has, but I think he has a decent amount of penalties there as well. Let's have a quick look at that if we can. Yeah, he has about 14 seconds of penalties, so he's not looking at gaining any positions off of Walker at this point in the race here. So continuing on through, let's see if that gap is being broken out. It's now 2.7 seconds between Alien and the Ferrari and Beefy and the AlphaTauri. Out in front, Clarky still leads by 1.4 seconds. He's still improving his time getting on through. And let's see if he's going to keep that going. Gap is now back up to 3 seconds here. Well, Beefy needs to break that gap down as much as he can. We got Extremist out of the race right now. Something's happened to him, and it's a full safety car on lap 50 right about now. This is going to make it a bit interesting and might be a bit more of an advantage for Beefy as well, as he's going to get a bit more up close towards Alien. Let's see if anybody is going to be doing a pit stop during this portion of the race here as well. Because with this safety car, we know we're getting final 10 laps of racing in. Because we're going to be racing back somewhere around lap 53 on average or so. So let's see what's going to happen as these guys get around here right about now. I highly doubt anyone's going to want to take a pit stop at this point in the race. But let's see if they're going to take that chance and dive into the pits or not. Gaps are not as big as you would expect. We're down to 9 drivers now remaining here in the session to finish up this 100% race here at Imola. And gaps are going to start to close very, very quickly between drivers falling under the safety car. So let's see what's going to happen. I think Clarky was looking for a potential win here in the new livery under Red Bull, but doesn't look like he's going to be able to get that. Talked about diving into the pits, doesn't do it though. Alien continues on as well, as does Beefy here. Looks like Walker's going to go into the pits, so possibly looking for a fastest lap here at the end of this race if he can get it. Alright, so Walker gets back out. A new fresh set of soft tires. You got a few more pit stops happening down at the back there as well. We got cars getting much closer to each other out in front here, now following under the safety car. Potentially we're doing another lap after this one before we do get back racing. So I think we should be back racing into lap 53 and then take it to the end of the race to lap 63. So we got some minimum time left of racing. Of course, this is a bit interesting here because we were expecting some rain down at the end of the race. Of course, we did say it could potentially lead to a situation where they don't have to switch to the intermediate tires. They can possibly finish a race on the dry tires as it is. Just depends how late the rain is going to come. But it depends how fast the rain comes in when it does start to come. At the moment, as we can see, it's still quite sunny out. Not really too much cloudiness going on, and we don't see any spots of rain showing up anywhere on track right about now. As we're following on board with the Red Bull here behind the Mercedes safety car getting through. So, we're gonna keep on board maybe just for the up to the end of this lap here to see if we can spot any drops of rain around the track, and I don't think we're seeing that, as if we do start to have some rain right around now, we potentially could still finish the race on the under the dry tires, but I'm not sure. Just depends how wet it's going to get. They might have to do a switch within the next few laps. But I don't see any rain coming in right about now. So I think we should potentially, as it is right now, be free to finish a race under dry conditions. It is starting to get a bit cloudy now that we did speak of it. Let's see if that's going to change at the end of the safety car here. Now, the safety car is actually taking a bit of time up in the session here, which means it's given a few laps away in terms of if the rain does come. We would have finished the race a bit earlier. Now we're going a few minutes extra, so it will be under the safety car. So let's see what's going to happen in that case, because we're going to run about 2 or 3 laps more. It's fine that you do run 1 lap under a safety car. And it's getting more and more cloudy as we complete this final lap under the safety car right now. We should be able to get the session back underway into lap 53. That will be a total of 11 laps of racing left. I think we're going to stay on board with the Red Bull until we can see the notification from race control that we are going to go back racing. Start to see a bit of weaving going on with the cars on track here, because there we go. So safety car is going to be in on this lap. We're about to get back racing here. Let's see if the rain is going to start to come as this race gets back on the way. that is getting extensively cloudy out on track. So definitely look like it might start to drizzle, but it just depends on how many laps we have remaining when the rain actually starts to come down. We need standing water on track before we can make a switch over to the intermediate tires. Of course, these tires are going to be losing a bit of grip just because of track temperature dropping right now. It's a pretty close gap between Clarky, Alien, and Beefy as they get back started here at Imola. And let's see who's going to get a better run down. We looked at Beefy is already trying to get up into second place against that Ferrari. There's Sam, of course, a pretty close gap against Beefy as well as he slots in behind, but he's keeping his position as it is. Beefy holds on to third place, doesn't risk it at this point, as he doesn't want to risk getting a penalty. Of course, he's under pressure from the Aston Martin coming behind him, who's now trying to get alongside him. He still potentially can get a race win, even finishing across the line P4. He needs to keep the gap between the 4 cars in front of him just within a certain range, and I think that's going to be quite possible for him. He's now down into 5th. His teammate is even ahead of him. The Walker's up into 4th. Beef is all the way down into 5th. He still could potentially take away this win with 8 drivers now remaining in the session for this race, and we got Beefy going quite a bit wide as he gets back on track. Doesn't look like he took a penalty for that one there, because I think it was just a warning, but he needs to keep this clean going on through. And I think he just had I think Walker just had a bit of a spin down at the back. Gets the car back though as it is going, and it's going on through pretty fine so far. So we got Beefy up into P4. Walker's lost 2 positions. He's down to 6th. Clark still leads out in front by about 5 tenths against the Ferrari. Sam, of course, in 3rd. 2-second gap between himself and Alien, and of course 2-10 gap for himself. And Beefy down behind him, and it's going to get quite close going down to the final 10 laps, which we're approaching to get into right about now. As we get into lap 54, side by side, Beefy's looking to get past the Aston Martin, and he's already passed him before they even get to the braking zone. So he takes back 3rd, and a 2.3 second gap to catch up to Alien in front. More than enough time actually to still take away the race win when they get around to the finish line on lap 63. But let's see what's going to happen as we get around to that. We got a 7-10 gap out in front with Clarky and Alien, and that's looking to keep as constant as it is there right about now. Just getting on board a bit, see if we can still see any drizzle on track, which I'm not seeing as yet. So I think we're still going to continue. It is still a bit cloudy on track, so that rain still potentially could come within the next few laps and change things up in the race. Just depending on how fast it does come down. We'll see what's going to happen. Walker out of the session. He's retired. I think he's possibly put that car down into one of the drivers on the side. We got a virtual safety car for that incident there. We're down to 7 drivers remaining here at Imola, and it's been quite an interesting session. Didn't expect a lot more drivers to finish this race. We'll see what's going to happen as they get off to the end. Alien, of course, trying to close in his gap on the Red Bull in front of him. We got Beefy 3.7 seconds behind. He's trying to close this gap as much as he can, trying to maintain his delta positive here as well. Doesn't want to be risk getting a drive-through penalty at this point in the race. Down to about 4-second gap. He still is going to get a race win at this point through the way things are going right about now. If we have a look at penalties, it's 18 seconds each for Clark and Alien out in front, and he has that gap to work with. So being the winning driver without a penalty in the race, so to finish is going to be a bit interesting for him. Let's see what works out. 3.7 seconds as we get back racing here right now, and he's trying to close the gap out in front though. Let's have a look at the Ferrari and the Red Bull as they continue to fight on through for their positions. Sam, of course, behind Beefy in the Red Bull, in the Aston Martin. He's still trying to get ahead. Trying to have a look where he is on track. He's having a pretty good run. Even on those mediums, he's still running pretty well in terms of trying to get past. Of course, even if he does get past, it still could lead to Beefy getting a race win. Just depending on what the strategy is going to be with the penalties. And now we're starting to see some drizzle come on track. So very minor spots of drizzle starting off right about now there in Sector 2. Not sure if it's in Sector 3 and 1 as yet. And does seem like it's already in Sector 3 getting through. Yep, so we got some rain starting to come in here on lap 55. So they're going to have to see if they can potentially take these cars to the end of the race without switching over to intermediates. It's not yet time for that, since we just have spots of drizzle. The track has to get a bit wet, has to get some standing water for those tires to displace if they're going to be switching to intermediates. At this point, it's way too early for that. And I think they'll have to just possibly try to push these cars to the end of the race, as it is there right now. 6-10 gap between Clark and Alien out in front. They will lose a bit of track temperature. They will lose a bit of heat in those tires as well, so they have to be extremely careful. 4.9 seconds with Beefy trying to catch up to the Ferrari. Of course, still has the Aston Martin behind of him to worry about, so he's still gonna have to be extremely careful not to take a penalty. And if he does need to, he might have to just allow that Aston Martin to go by, who now gets another penalty as well. So looking pretty well for Beefy in terms of taking away the race win this evening. He would have preferred getting across the line for us for this, but I think he's going to take it either way. It's now a 5-second gap between him and Alien out in front. Let's see how that continues on. We're following on with the Red Bull and the Ferrari, who's currently leading the race there on lap 56. Got about 7.5 laps to finish off this race here. And we still do have that drizzle starting to come in right about now. Of course, not going to get wet enough before this race is over. Actually, it's starting to come quite a bit now. So let's see what's going to happen. Alien gets another penalty there for track limits. That's going to take up to 21 seconds. We are, of course, going to leave tires on. We want to see if any of these drivers are going to make a switch for the intermediates to go down to the end of the race, which I highly doubt they will, though. I think these dry tires should be quite capable of taking them to the end of the race, even though it's starting to drizzle just a bit right about now. As I don't think the track is going to get that wet that it doesn't need wet tires on to run. 4:10 gap between Clarky and Alien in second there for the lead of the race, and he's not looking to get run here. We got Bob going into the pits. Is he switching to a new set of softs, or is he doing onto intermediates? I do think it's still quite a bit early to even think about going on to intermediates at this point here. It's still nowhere wet on the track, and he's taking the chance. He's gone onto the intermediate tires. As you can see him switching to the green wall tires there. Oh, we got some severe problems on track here, because that is Alien out of the race. Looks like the grip level is not what we expected to be at this point here. So he's out. He's no longer in contention for fighting for the race win at this point. Clarky now continues to lead the race. Beefy is now up into second. What's the grip level out on track with them? Because they look like they are struggling quite a bit. I'm going to go on to Bob, see what's happening with him and the intermediates right about now, if he's having any better luck in terms of grip. Going to be a bit interesting if they do have to all make that switch over to the intermediates at this point. I'm trying to have a look on board if we can. And doesn't look like he's fully up to temperature with these tires as yet. Look like Sam is getting into the pits as well. The rain is starting to come just a bit more, and they definitely might be thinking of going on to the intermediates to finish off the race. We'll see what's going to happen. I want to see where Sam is at the moment. He is doing that switch onto the intermediates, and he's now going to get out on track. Out in front, we can see the track starting to actually get wet and getting to the point where we will need the intermediate tires, so they might have to make this switch very late after the end of the race here. We're on lap 58 of 63, and it potentially looks like it's going to be a close call between the top two if they're going to be doing a stop to go on to the intermediates or not. Of course, Beefy having a bit more advantage. He's going to be looking onto the Red Bull in front of him. If the Red Bull decides to take a stop, he's going to go in for a stop as well. But he might just stay out depending on what's going to happen. But he's losing grip here. It might just be more advantage more than to just take a stop at this point. The track is getting very wet. We're going to start to have some standing water pretty soon on it, so they might have to just go in and do a pit stop here. Let's have a look where the Red Bull is right now. Is he going to go in for a stop? Trying to have a look on board with this, and I think he just potentially will be heading in. DRS is now disabled. Definitely time for those intermediates as he now goes in. Beefy is going to be following him potentially into the pits for a stop here as well, because he has no grip on track. And they're all going to be making that switch over to intermediates to finish off the race. So on lap 59, about to get into lap 60 here, I believe. Now we're getting into lap 59 right now. So we still got another 4.5 laps to go in this session. And this is going to be finished under wet conditions on the intermediates right now. We got Matty into the pits as well. Vintage potentially going to be looking to do a stop down at the back there. And let's see what the gap is going to be, because we got Beefy getting out of the pit lane right about now with a 9.2 second gap between himself and Clarky. Let's have a look where the Red Bull is out in front, and even though he leads by 9.2 seconds, I highly doubt that's going to be enough time for him to still get away with a race win. With the amount of penalties he potentially has, 18 seconds, it's a 10.2 second gap between him and Beefy. He needs to clear himself by 18 seconds in the next 3 laps if he wants to take the win here at Imola, and that's seemingly difficult to do even under wet conditions as it is, even more difficult to do under the wet conditions as it is right now. So let's see what's going to happen with that gap there as it is. Take this back over onto that. I'm going to go on board a bit with Beefy here, see what's happening with him. He needs to avoid penalties right about now, because if he starts to get penalties, it's going to bring the gap down a lot more for Clarky to get away with a race win and him to just finish there and skip into second. Got 6 drivers remaining on the grid to finish off this race. Let's see what's going to happen as we get further down to the end of it. As we said, that safety car slowed things down a bit. We would have ended up switching tires maybe a bit further on, maybe lap 60 or 61, maybe even had to if needed, or the guys would have probably pushed on through. He worked out pretty well either way. It's a 10-second gap right now between Clarky and Beefy here, and this of course is for the race win. So let's see what's going to happen. Clarky needs to clear himself by 18 seconds if he wants to keep P1 at the end of this when he gets across the line on lap 63. Beefy needs to keep it within 18 seconds and he gets the win. And that's going to put Clarky up to second. Looks like Maddie will finish right there in third, Bob in fourth, Sam in fifth, and Vintage in sixth, as it should be. I think with the penalties, even as it is, the gaps that they have, it should be finishing with the top, with all 6 of them as they are, except for Clark and Beefy. We're going to be able to switch between those two unless something happens within the next 3.5 laps, which is potentially unlikely at this point here as we're following on right now. And of course, we know Beefy has to make sure he keeps these laps as clean as possible. He needs to be very, very careful here. He can afford to lose a second or two if he needs to, in terms of just keeping himself out of any penalties, because a penalty will hand him a 3-second penalty minimum, and that's going to cost him a lot of time. That's going to mean Clarky has 5 seconds to clear. It's now up to 11.1 seconds. So Clark is actually gaining right about now at this point here. Beef is down to just about 9 more seconds he can possibly lose. Well, 9/10 actually to lose. 9 seconds here. Yeah. Actually put about 8 seconds because he's already about 11.2. So he needs to keep this as clean as he can. He needs to avoid the penalties. Where is the Red Bull on track as he gets through lap 61? And our gaps have gone quite away from us at this point in the session. So quite interesting with the rain coming now at the end. We're on with Clarky here, finishing up the final 2.5 laps of this race. Got Beefy coming behind of him, 11.6 seconds. He's gaining time right now, but I don't think he's gaining time fast enough in terms of taking that gap over 18 seconds. His only hope here is that for some reason Beefy is going to take a few 3-second penalties, and that's going to put him over the edge in terms of him keeping a race win. A potential race win here. So let's see what's going to happen, because gap is going away from Beefy. He's losing a tenth at least per lap going on through, or at least a few tenths per lap, but it's still not going to be enough at this point. At the rate at which it's going for Clarky to keep a race win here in the Red Bull would have been a lot of fun for him too, to get a race win here in the Red Bull of the new livery, but he's going to get across the line P1 with that Red Bull, so not going to be too bad of a finish for him. Still will get second place on the podium as it is. We got a McLaren there. Maddie who's going to get on to third. We'll see how that changes up the standings though coming into next week. On to lap 62 at this point here, going on through with the Red Bull, falling back on the Beef again. Let's see where he is on track. So we have no close gaps currently to follow. The closest gap I think we have is with Bob and Sam down at the back there. It's a 7-second gap between them. Sam seems to be breaking that down just a bit. So let's have a quick look and see what's happening with the Aston Martin down at the back. Got Bob here though in the Alpine, still in this race, so gotta give him credit for that. Still pulling through a 100% race here at Slipstream Racing. And 31.8 seconds gap towards the McLaren out in front, but still accounted pretty well as he's still in the race in the final 6 remaining. And then also not forgetting we do have Vintage here in the next, well, the only remaining Ferrari at this point. His teammate was running out there pretty high up, now out of the race. We got Vintage still running though, P6. Gonna still get some decent points here for the team. Let's see how that works out in terms of constructors and for the driver standings for him as well, because definitely still will get some points as we now have Clarky getting into the final lap of this race with a 12.3 second gap with Beefy behind of him. So still looking at potentially getting across the line P1, but will have to take second place on the podium when he does do that. So let's see how that's going to work for him, getting through sector 1 right about now. Let's have a look where it is started in this race at this point here. So position change. It looks like Clarky started 3 positions down from here. Beefy started 9 positions down. He's going to be 10 positions up when he finishes. Might potentially get driver of the day as well. He's potentially looking at that. We'll see what's going to happen. Maddie there gained 4. We got Bob gained 4. Sam has lost 2 positions as he started there in 3rd. We got Vintage gained 10 positions so far in the session. Pit stops, we got 4 and 3, an average of that throughout the grid going. And let's leave it on penalties to finish off the session as it is. It's a 9-second penalty there for Maddie, who will keep that position. Looks like everyone's going to keep their position as it is right now. So let's bring that back over the tires and leave it as it is. I think guys, Clarky now getting through the final sector of the track here at EMILIA and about to get across the line P1, but will unfortunately not be able to keep it. But still quite an improvement in the race, being able to finish and getting across the line. Would have been a potential win for him, but still gets 2nd place on the podium as we're now on the Beefy finishing up the final turn as he gets around. Started quite a way down from here, fought his way quite well up the field, and is now going to get across the line 2nd, but takes their win here at EMILIA for the EMILIA ROMAGNA Grand Prix, and the first one here on the session, and he gets a win for it. So not a bad finish for him, and some decent points for AlphaTauri as well, seeing his teammate is out. Got Manny coming around in final turn. He should be getting across to take P3 on the grid, and that's a final podium position he takes, so not too bad for him. So top 3 finish, we got Beefy in the AlphaTauri, Clark in the Red Bull with the new livery, the white livery on it, and we got Maddie in the McLaren finishing 3rd. We do have Bob coming around in the final sector right about now. Looks like Vintage having some trouble somewhere, I believe, on track there, trying to get back going. And for some reason, Beefy gets a 20-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. I'm not sure what that's about, so I'm really not sure if he actually got that penalty or if that was just a glitch on the game. He's now down to 2nd on the standings with it in terms of that. So Clarky now takes back the win away. So this is going to be sorted with the stewards. We're going to have to let that be sorted out with the stewards to see what happened there, because I'm not sure how he got back a 20-second penalty, because he did have penalties before, lost all of it, and then got it back. So I'm not sure what's happening. It could potentially be between Clarky and Beefy for that race win. We'll have to find that out next week. But he did get driver of the day here, so not a bad finish in the session for him. I think potentially he did get a race win still. I'm not sure. If I do get that information before we close up the stream, we'll find out what's happened with that. But potentially, as we saw it, Beefy did get across the line. Yep, I think the game I think it was just a glitch that just happened there and gave Beefy a 20-second penalty. So I think so far as it is, we're going to work it as Beefy got P1, Clarky getting P2. And just work it as that as it is. So really not sure what just happened at the end there, but the game does get a bit crazy sometimes. Just give him a 20-second penalty. That is insane at this point. So as is right about now, race winner, kind of unsure what's happening with the session here. We got Clarky and Beefy. It's going to be between the 2 of them, but as we saw, Beefy went across the line 2nd. He took away P1 just because he didn't have any penalties. The game gave him a 20-second penalty after. I think that's a glitch. I'm not sure. Either way, Clarky got the fastest lap in the session. Beefy got driver of the day, and we'll figure that out coming into the next session next week. We have Maddie taking 3rd on the grid, Sam takes 4th, Bob takes 5th, Vintage takes 6th, and that's our 6 drivers who finish off this session. Still a bit fuzzy between Clarky and Beefy, who takes the win here at EMILIA for the EMILIA ROMAGNA Grand Prix. I'm not sure what's happening, but Beefy is going to be fighting for that one. I think Clarky is going to want it as well, but it just depends. They're going to have to provide footage on what happened in terms of penalty situation wise. Either way, guys, thank you guys for joining on the session. Make sure you leave a like on the stream and make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I'll see you guys on the next stream coming up later on in the week.